Guys, I broke my VTuber. How did I do this? Why am I lead? Hold on. We'll go to a different one. Does this one work? Hello? Yeah, this works. Hi, chat. Hi. Hi. Are we ready? Are we ready to play? I'm so excited to play. Okay. Forewarning. I have played this. I've only played a little bit of it though. Give me 1 second. I've only played a little bit of it though. I did some of it last night, only for like a few hours. So, truthfully, can you make a brick? Yeah. Wait, that reminds me. Hold on. Okay. Let me send this now. And then pin it. Okay. I did it. So I have played this game a little bit, only for like a few hours though. So, only for a few hours. Make sure you guys can hear everything. Okay. So, my island residents currently are me, IRL me, and then Jesse, and then our roomie, and then Ghosty, and then Celery. So I feel like the obvious person we should add next is Kiona. And then we can add Brick.
I think it's funny that
Brick can be the side piece. So I'll add all my friends. Speaking of, one of them, hello? He fell and he can't get up. Oh. Why did they ragdoll? Oh. Hello?
You really helped me out.
Okay, hold on. Let's go check what I have to say about this. What IRL me has to say.
Hello.
Hello.
Sakura doesn't have enough greenery. Can we get some more plants around here?
But I just logged on. You want more trees? Oh wait, there's some bushes too. Okay, different trees. I like it. There's a bush over there. And then some flowers. I like it. I like your vision. I think we'll go with your vision. How much will it cost?
It will cost $30. Do we have the budget for that right now?
I don't know, IRL. Ooh, should I go on the other side, chat? Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. So then you can see like options and stuff. See, I'm big braining. You don't see me do this very often.
I bet we're trying to come out there.
Okay. I say let's go for it. I have
Oh,
the
yeah.
money.
I'm on it. Let's get going.
Can you say hi, Jesse? Brick says hi.
All done.
Jesse.
Take a look
Jesse.
whenever.
Brick says hi.
Oh, tell Brick to
Tell him what?
tell him to come in my chat if you want.
No, I'm not gonna tell him to come into your chat. He's in my chat.
Fine.
He's mine right
I
now.
would like to. Brick, I love you. Brick, I love you.
Brick didn't even know you were live. Okay, so a little story time about last night, right? So you can't see it very well, but behind me, you know what? Hold on. No, it's fine. Hey, you're Jesse. Behind me, you can see two little icons. You can see the ghosty, like me. I'm pretty high up there, which, like, I should be. I'm kind of cool. I hope she likes me. And then Jessie, we originally made IRL me, and then we made Jessie because I was like, oh, well, we should, like, totally, you know, get them to date. I rejected him. Jesse still has a crush on me, but I friend zoned him and rejected him. So yeah, and I think Ghosty has a crush on IRL on Rika. I don't know. It's messy. It's messy. But Ghosty has been doing really well with Celeridin. Speaking of, he wants to speak.
Hello.
Hello. Wait, you like Rika more than Ghosty?
Got a sec. I wanna chat.
Okay.
Are you the competitive type, bestie? I can't help but wonder. Well, if you could pick any type of competition to participate in, what would it be?
What? What? Let me ask you a question. Me want to know all about you and the world you live in. They're becoming sentient. Chat, they're becoming sentient. They want to know more about us. We're fucked. AI. Teach them all you can by taking time to answer their questions. What you teach them will spread across the island as island lingo, which the Mies will start using in regular conversation. What? You can view the island lingo at any time by pressing X and selecting the island info from the menu. Wait, so what I say? Okay, an activity I'd compete in. I don't really compete. I don't really have a competition. I wouldn't say that I'm good at anything. Playing games, I guess. Well, yeah, I feel like I would totally compete in like some hardcore. Ooh, Mario Kart. No, you know what? Never mind. Hold on, I'm back. We're so locked in. Hold on. I gotta spell this. M-R Mario. How do I space again? Is it? Oh, it's Y. Mario? Is Mario Kart one word or is it two words? And it's with a K, right? Is it this? Mario Kart. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Mario Kart. Oh, I can totally see that. You speaking at the podium after Mario Kart to victory. Impressive.
Wait, I should have said playing Mario Kart, not just Mario Kart, huh? Why are you creeping around my shoulder, good sir? Wait, you leveled up! Should we give Celeridin a greeting? What greeting would he do? Wait, you can't see it. Oh my god. Where's a good place for a VTuber? Okay. Is that better? Maybe I should be over here. I'll just stay Mario Karting to victory. Yeah. Maybe Mario Karting or racing in Mario. I don't know. How should I have put that to make good grammar? He won't greet others? Wait, doesn't greet people and ignores greeting from others. That is celery. Wait. We have to give him that quirk. Come here. To me, oh.
I feel a bit more like myself.
Good. Good.
I
You
only
should.
carry the absolute essentials in my wallet.
It's in your wallet. Can I check? There's nothing in your stomach.
What's this?
Wait, I forgot I can give them head pads, can I? Like if I do this. Yeah. Thank you. Yippee. You really liked that? Oh.
Die.
Okay, so we need to make Kiona. I think that's what we're gonna do. Oh, wait! I'm talking with Rika! Hello. Oh. Oh, okay. Hello.
Hey,
Hey, guys, I drew the ears. Are you proud of me? I give myself little ears. Drawing without, like, actually picking it up and using a stylus kinda sucks, low-key. He somehow looks depressed and happy at the same time. Yeah, that's him. You like butter cookies. Do I have some of those? I do.
yum.
Oh, but I guess I need to fill you up. Maybe. Oh. Yippee! So I'm assuming the loathes and loves is also food, I think?
Hanging out with Twin is always a good time. I could talk to her all day.
I forgot that you call her twin. I set that up. That was me. Let's fill you. Give you some nachos.
Yum.
Yum. Sick. Oh, that did a lot of happiness, actually. Oh, there's Jessie. Hello.
Huh. Let's play Pixel Quiz.
What is Pixel Quiz? What the pixelated item is. Okay.
Here's your first pixelated item. What do you think it is?
Seafood platter?
The answer is seafood platter. Next
so
up,
goated.
your second pixelated item.
Oh no.
What do you think it is?
Pizza. Also, I just saw celery.
The answer is pizza. And finally, the last pixelated item. What do you think it is?
Compass, green tea, or plastic model leftovers? Green tea?
The correct answer is green tea.
Oh my god.
Congratulations, you won.
What I get?
Time for your prize.
Ooh,
Go ahead, pick one.
I've done a medium and a big one so far. Let's do a small one. I got an engagement ring. Oh, hello, celery. Where's Ghosty? There I am. Wait, I didn't grab me. Thank you. Go make friends, because I know you want to make friends.
Celadon, good afternoon.
Flimper, Schmimper, Hylanfa, right, Slimpanora 2,
This is canon, by the way. We talk a lot.
Single Stab Extra, Gramo, Real Hingle Maximal, Nah, Iliana
They're trying to recruit others to go explore the outside world. No, 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 no. We don't have to do that.
Well, Tran is a Shambo, Flacky. Yeah, but
Okay,
Tran is Jam over
while
Scrabble,
they
Bionic
talk,
Logo Flash.
I'm gonna add a me. Okay, wish me luck. I gotta make my wife. Oh. Yeah.
Have to turn them on.
And then, yeah. And then her bangs. They're like, no. They're like, yeah, no. Maybe? Wait. Hold on. Hi, microwave! I'm trying to do this off of like the top of my head because I don't want to look at reference pictures because I feel like it'd be funnier to do it based off how I remember. I actually don't know what hairstyle would look good. Because I know she's changing a bit of it. Here, we won't see the vision unless it's white. Let's do this. Yeah, we might just have to go with white. Maybe something like that. And then she has pretty long hair. Let's see what options there are.
Well, it's because we weren't doing. Is that our ocean comment?
Oh, maybe something like that. Because I know she has braids. Maybe that would work. Okay, I like that. And then subcolor, she does like a purplish on one of her models. So maybe something like that. Yeah, maybe it's not the bangs. Maybe the bangs aren't doing it for me. Yeah. Okay. Oh wait, I found an eye trick. Is it this one? I think one of these was used.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because there's like ways to do the eyes to where like it's really cute and like stylized. It doesn't look terrible. I think it was one of these. I want to say it was this one that I remember.
No, I haven't accepted.
Okay. And then, wait, I never changed her eye color. I know she has like these really pretty like eyes, kind of like that, I guess. I'd say so. And then I know she likes makeup. I'll give her makeup. And then maybe give her like stars to make up for like. Oh my gosh! To kind of make up for it. I think we will. Okay. Nose time. Call me hater, but I kind of just default noses. I don't really. It's not that I don't like how the other ones look. I just don't know how to like make them look good, if that makes sense. Hi, I'm making your wife. Give her the same mouth I gave myself. I like this one. Oh no. Oh yes. Yeah. I feel like that works for Kyo. And then she's got elf ears. So we'll give her those. We'll make them a little bit bigger and higher. Yeah, so then they poke out more. And she doesn't wear glasses. She's here with me and she says, "Oh my gosh, let me see." Ah. Okay. Now for the hard part. I did decent with my what am I trying to say? Oh, I did decent with mine, with my ears. Oh, there's a color range. But I don't know if I'll be the best. So let me pull up a picture. So I won't be able to do this off heart, but I know I have art of it. It's up here. There it is. Yeah. Okay, so Kyo has I personally use more of like the darker red for this. Oh god. Do I want this? She's got like one that goes around like that. Hold on. And then bigger one. So we'll just do like that. I don't like how it looks over there though. Wait. It has to come back to me. Hold on. Oh, I don't. Did I change my settings on here? Is that why? Oh, I did. Smooth. Ow. We won't do that. Okay. How do I make this mealable? I could just do her. Well, let's do. I don't know. Her horns are huge, by the way, chat. I love her to death. You will never catch me complaining. It is pretty big. Let me do this. trying to see how to get her horns to even like kind of fit on here. Because I have a very limited space to draw, because it's supposed to be face paint. I could give her little baby nubs. Okay, that is straight. Neither. Thank you. I could give her baby ones like that. I think that would work. Not what I meant to do. I think right there. And then copy it. Nope. A mirror. Thank you. And put it over here. Yeah. Sure. I do layered. Let me. Let me lighten these real quick. How do I do that? I can't remember. Beyond it. Which one was it? Blur, contrast, outline, dreamy. Dreamy's so cute, actually. He is. So then, should be able to.
You got him, right?
Oh, I see.
I didn't think you
I mean, it worked. Kind of. Me. Let's see how to do this real quick.
You know how difficult it is? First, it's not a cooldown. Like money. I have to get money!
Jesse's complaining about not having money. That's all I hear. Okay. I was just about to say I have to be careful. I'm not gonna make it like super detailed, because I love my wife. She definitely has a lot of details that I don't think I can capture right now doing this with my controller. Sure. That's what I told him. What is the outline? Confused. Hi, Sunday. Yeah, whatever, that'll be fine. And then I use the no, this color, and then I put it here, but I don't want it layered. Yes. What? I have that on. Understood. Okay. Hehehe.
I know.
It's silly, but it works, I guess. And then she's got like a darker pink inside of it. How did I get back to that effect? Hold on, go back. Was it not layered? Is that my problem?
Why did you go with
Oh, okay. This is the best I got. Methinks. I think it's more of a pinkier pink though. Like there, I think. And it's kind of like in the bottom of her horn. Kind of like that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. And then back to this one. She does have horns that like. Would doing this on a bigger one be helpful? Oh wait.
ranch? The ranch go out. The one where like I need a bucket. Where's my bucket? I ran out of money!
Yeah. Kinda like that, I guess. Can I would one attempt to try and copy this one. Just do this.
That box me.
Jesse screaming in the background. Yeah. I think they moved on to Marvel Rivals. So my comfy game It's interrupted. Okay, I think that's the closest we'll get. I think so.
I'm private.
Okay. Yo! Okay. Kiona is, I think, as tall as Celery. She's like, I think there.
Oh,
Yeah. I think so. We get to name her. Kyo. IRL, yes, and lore, she's 9 feet. Yeah. Well, I messed up, okay? And like, you can't really do that. Plus, I think the tallest person right now is Jessie. Kiona.
My name is Kiona Mew.
She's female. I don't know her birthday. Isn't it in like December? When is her birthday? I'm a bad wife. Oh, Jesus, thank you, Celery. I guess for age doxing her. I was gonna cover the age. One. Yeah. It's Kyo.
My name is Kiona Mew. It's nice to meet you. My name is Kiona Mew. My name is Kiona Mew. It's nice. My name is Kiona Mew. My name is Kiona Mew. It's nice to meet you.
Don't worry, we got this.
My name is Kiona Mew. 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 It's nice to meet you. Today is April 20th, 2026. My name is Kiona Mew. 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 It's nice. My name is Kiona Mew. It's nice to meet you. Today is April 20th, 2026. So, how does this voice sound? My name is Kiona Mew.
Close enough. Is real-world Kiona Mew related to anyone on this island? Yes. They're the partner of Solaridan. Okay. Movement. Oh. I don't know what movement is. Is that just walking speed, chat? Or is that like how fast you can dodge a bullet? I'd say she's like here. I think she's very polite. I think she's very energetic. I think her thinking is in the middle, and I think she's very quirky. Let's see what personality she gets. You guys ready to meet Kyo? She got yellow?
Oh my god, I'm crazy.
Kiona Mew, considerate. At a glance, amicable. Traits, thoughtful, honest, innocent, does things at their own pace. Cheerleader. Positive, enthusiastic, and always beaming. Smiles for their own sake to help others smile too. Do you think that's Kyo, guys? Do you think it's Kyo? Yum, yum, yum. Good water. Yeah, bet. That's all I needed is one, yeah.
I'm so poor.
Wait. Why does Kyo live on a Wait.
Your bestie, right? It's nice to meet you. I'm 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷. I'm a considerate cheerleader. I hope we get along well.
Me too. Here, do you want some food, Kyo? I'll feed you. Feed you nice.
Yum.
I'll give you some nachos. Yay! Do you want? I got cookies.
Yum.
Oh, you liked it.
I get the feeling that you'd really enjoy some tap water. Am I right, bestie?
How'd you know I just drank water? How'd you know?
What's this?
How'd you know? Okay. We're going outside. How do you... Your husband and your wife are talking over there. Oh, the house is basically an island of its own. She won't be able to leave if it stays this way. Add some landscaping to connect the main island to the land around her home. To do some landscaping, press X and select add because she doesn't drink water. Did someone in chat said because she doesn't drink water. That's probably, yeah. She's like, you'd enjoy it. Island builder. Hi. Let's start with some grass. You can come back to the island builder later to work with different types of landscaping. Can I do magical clovers? Or do I have to do grass? Oh! I was gonna read that. Whoa! Wait, this is weird. Okay. Perfect, the land's connected now. Wait, so you can just design how it looks? Press tags it. Kyo! The island connected, she can go to other places and meet other people. You can terraform the layout of your island in many ways. Where is she going? Including building new land where the sea used to be. This can help you connect areas together or make rooms as needed. Hey, if you want to make the island builder bigger, it seems with plenty of Miis could live here. Oh, we get the news. I'm doing the news!
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. Here's what's happening on our island. Sakura is now freely welcoming residents, meaning anyone can land upon our humble shores anytime. Residents are overjoyed at the news, calling in to say, finally, a fresh audience, and our numbers will soon be multitudinous. There will be no stopping
I don't know
us.
what multitudinous
Our might will
means.
be infinite. Thanks for watching. I'm Ghosty, and you're up to date.
And you're up to date. Sometimes Miis can get married or become roommates. All your Miis are living by themselves right now, but it makes sense that Miis who get married or become great friends might want to live together in bigger houses. You can help foster these kind of relationships by helping your Miis interact with each other. Give it a try. Kyo, 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 kyo. Jay, what are you pondering?
Huh,
I have
Good
to go
evening.
talk with Kiona.
got a sec. I wanna chat.
Yes.
I'm curious what kind of people you're into, bestie. Who is a celebrity that you like?
Yes, 100, I need 100! No, Spider-Man is the ultimate. Where's my thumbs up? Where is my thumbs up? I don't see my feet. Okay. I wanna see it.
Freddy Fazbear. Oh, you like Freddy Fazbear, bestie? I'm actually a big fan too.
Okay. I thought way too hard on that question, Loki. Okay. Wait, 3 people name me? Wait, Kiona fell. Either that or she has hiccups. Kyo has hiccups! I'll bring someone. Bring Slurden. Slurden, what are you thinking about? Hello?
I want some plain clothes. Something that'll let me blend into the crowd and go unnoticed.
Are these not plain clothes?
Great, huh? Well then, I guess I'll keep wearing this. Thanks.
Okay. I need you. No. Quick tip, ever feel like you have to drag a me halfway across the island just to talk to another specific me? Well, there's an easier way. Describe the me you want, press Y to open up the me list, and select the other me to bring them both together immediately. I love the eye bags, thank you. Oh wait, yeah. And then bring to Q. Help.
Are you alright?
These hiccups. They won't stop.
Well, this is really strange. But I'm sure you'll be fine.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and trust you. Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
Yay! I got them to be acquaintances. Oh.
Thanks for your help there. I feel like Kiona and I get along a little better now.
What did he do to her that needs to be blacked out? I don't know. The relationship. Oh my god, they're talking!
You're into call. 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝙃𝙲𝙷. Grappling snap. Crunchy on a burgering.
Okay, looks like Jesse needs help. Hello.
Let's play Shadow Quiz.
Okay, so I think the green means they want to play a game, but I thought it was and purple means I think that, like, they need help. It's casting the shadow.
Here's your first mystery shadow. What do you think it is?
A toy robot. Oh
The
shit!
answer is toy robot. Next, your second mystery shadow. What do you think it is?
A hot dog?
The answer is fresh spring rolls.
I need to kill her.
This is why I rejected your ass.
Hey, you can't win them all. But you
His
can
little
get
suit.
this as
I
a
know,
consolation
isn't
prize.
his little suit cute? He was really depressed after I rejected him. And so, I gave him all the clothes that I bought. And he really liked the suit. Oh, what the fuck? A pawn shop? It's right there? I didn't even read what we were doing. Oh, the news again. I'm doing the news!
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. Here's what's happening on our island. A very reputable pawn shop has opened on Sakura. You'll want to visit the right price to sell off any treasure you don't need anymore.
Oh.
Locals are responding to the news with, "Will they buy my pocket lint?" And I was told this treasure is priceless, but the cashier sure was glad to put a price tag on it. Thanks for watching. I'm Ghosty, and you're up to date.
Okay. They're gathering to anoint the new leader of Sakura. Pardon? Why are they grayed out?
So I said, Captain Low Hardly Snowbrin, Gamble. Sure, live and breath.
I am glad.
Oh, what do you need?
I am glad.
The Tony Gun told Janet top prison at Gamble. Oh,
It's a gathering of the bestie fan club.
My
Aww,
luck
that's
on tomorrow.
sweet. Oh, there's new stuff. Oh yeah, you can check up
Welcome.
daily. I forgot about that. Kyo's working. You can't see because she's behind me. I guess we can give them rooms later. I want to give Keo one of these star ones, actually. Can I do pink? Would she like pink? Would she like a pink star? Would she like something more like black? Would she like green? I feel like she would like pink. But that's just me. It is pink.
Thank you very much.
And then we'll give celery the petted room.
Please
maybe.
come again.
Later. We have new stuff to look at. There's a skeleton costume. The dance performance outfit? Okay. Letter T? Wait. Starry strange dress. I like that. I have to pee so bad. Chat, I'll be right back. One sec. Okay, I'm back. I spent too much money. I got Nutella also, by the way. So if you hear me nomming, that's what I'm doing. It's not even open yet. Okay. Where did my controller go? Let's see. There's a heart staff. Oh, get out. This is so cute. I need it right now. There's a sushi costume. Okay. Does anything change in here at all? Or is it just daily stuff? Okay, these are only daily specials. So I should probably buy the daily specials quite a lot, huh? If my main wardrobe thing doesn't... Where did my chopstick go? Just have it. Oh! Well, then I have to open my Nutella. Oh, it's frozen. Okay. So I think buying stuff from here is good. So you only get this a few times. I like this too. We'll give this to someone. And then... Oh! One of the starry dresses right there. Interesting. Yeah. There's more food apparently.
Welcome.
My god, there is dim sum.
Sorry, looks like this is a bit too spendy for you.
Let me buy these two just cause
Thank you
I
very
don't know if
much.
someone will like it. I think it gets put into my shop after that. What does Rico want? They just called you poor? Yeah.
Huh. Good evening.
Good evening. What are you pondering about?
I want to eat something you made with your own hands, bestie.
Oh? It's like she wants you to eat something you prepared personally. In that case, I can cook. Let's build a pallet house workshop. You can craft your own clothing, food, and other items at the pallet house workshop. Ugh. All you have to do is find a place for it. Where should it go? Interesting. Here, I guess? Oh, I could have put it next to Jesse's house.
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. Here's what's happening on our island. A pallet house workshop has opened on Sakura. At the local pallet house, Bestie can make all sorts of things for residents, like food and clothing. Excited residents have been calling in with comments like, "It's about time," and "Can you make me an edible tuxedo?" Thanks for watching. I'm Rika, and you're up to date.
Hey, this is shy shit. She's watching the fuck out of this right now, Ghost. Really? You can use the touchscreen. I have to draw. Now we're ready to make some food. Try creating something you think your Mies would love to eat. Why not make your first creation a piece of cake? Start it for you since it's your first one, so that's all that's left for you is to give the cake its tasty finishing touches. If you prefer not to dry, try using the stamps at the top of the screen. Once you're done, press done. Yeah, there are stamps. I'm calling this the Kiona and Ghosty special. Or should I just make it Keo? Wait, I'll make it like a little wedding cake topper. Hold on. I'll go there. And then I'll put one there. Yeah, make me a little smaller for Canon. Oh yeah. Priceless. What kind of food is this?
Yuri.
Its taste is very sweet. Its type, it's a sweet treat. Hold on. Sweet treat. Temperature, hot. Dude, I've had enough Yuri for 1 week. Why is there more? Size, large. Lighting.
Really neat thing.
Oh. Oh, I can make it throb. Make it flash. Hi.
Hey you.
Here, we'll just make it consistently bright. Lit only at night. If you read it at night, it's because it's like you're reading it on your phone, you know? So the phone illuminates. Christian, you made is available for purchase at the Fresh Kingdom Food Mart. Let's buy one to gift to that me. That one with celery and Jesse? Yeah.
Welcome.
Looks like you don't have enough money. Ugh. Forgot.
Thank you very much.
Forgot I just spent all my money. Alright, let's go give Ghosty. Let's go give
Big man blasters, big man blasters, big man blasters, big man blasters, big man blasters.
Okay, she liked it. Ooh, it's number 1. Soon everyone will love Yuri. Whoa, she ate it. Okay, so let's have the ability to create new types of food. By using these wishes at the wishing fountain, you'll also be able to create new clothing and items. Use your imagination and craft the kind of stuff you think would make your Mii residents happy. Also, I love that there's no censorship in this. From your house workshop. Thanks. I don't have any friends that play this that are local. That's crazy actually. Wishing fountain. Oh.
Good job. Oh, no way.
New wishes are available. Name the celery cake penis blast. Oh, you're so right. You can use the wishes at the wishing fountain to unlock new types of landscaping that you can use through the island builder. You can use the wishes at the wishing fountain to unlock new types of creations that you can craft at the pallet house workshop. Ah. Cobblestone, gravel, sand, brick. Also fairy celery. I love the fairy. Clothing, treasures. What are these? Oh, creation type. Okay. What do you give like? Well, I need level 10 to get another quirk. We like. Each stair's wooden. You've convinced your Yuri to get the game. Aw, I'm glad. Yeah, I think we're gonna get that. Let's go! Here's one as a gift. Thanks. Who is thinking? Ghosty. What am I thinking about?
Good evening.
Hello. I want you to go
My
talk
look
to
is lacking a
Kiana.
certain something.
Oh?
Can
A top that matches my current outfit. Yeah. Oh. I don't really have a top that matches right now.
Hold on.
And I have 13 bucks. You can try this one. See if you like it. Yum 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 yum. Nutella. Okay. I need you to go make friends.
we haven't met yet, have we? My name is Ghosty. Nice to meet you, Ghosty. I'm 𝚃𝚆𝙷𝚃𝙲𝙷. Best engagement ring on a starter fern.
Ghosty's talking about herself in an engagement ring for some reason. I'm already mentioning being her wife. Wait, Ghosty, I have something for you.
Something you need.
I have an engagement ring. Use it wisely when the time comes. Get married, that was Kiana. I want to be friends with Celery. I'm great friends with my IRL self. Ooh, little quirks. Yeah. To be fair, Ghosty, that's how your friendship with Kiana went. Yeah. Don't worry, me and Celery talked about streaming.
Oh, I feel a little different.
A little? What do you mean by that?
What?
Chase after her. What? He's following 𝚃𝚆𝙸 for some reason?
I feel like someone is watching me.
Go see. Go see, you can't. Where are we? What's up with Ghosty? Am I a stalker?
After you. No, no, after you. Oh, I insist. You first.
Walker, why did you leave me? Where are you?
Please, after you. Please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I wish I had someone to hang out with.
Ghosty, please stop. Talk to her like a normal person.
Good evening, 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝙃𝙲𝙷. Do you feel like talking about
Babe? Jesse? Doritos?
Freddy Fazbear?
Wait!
Sure.
We're talking about
So,
FNAF!
fun fact. Freddy Fazbear and I hang out from time to time. Oh, I'm jealous. I want to hang out too. Sure,
I don't have my
you're more
clipping
than
options
welcome
open.
to join us. I guess this makes us buds now. Welcome to our new friendship.
Oh my god.
Haha. Thanks for
What is
having me.
happening?
Happy to be here.
Hold on, Jesse, stop. Oh my god, we actually just talked about FNAF. Oh my god.
Taller than ghosts.
Wait, what'll be Giona's nickname? I know. I call her Gio.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna let Giona use my Twitch because she's too lazy to log into her account and have a good stream. Goes, bye, Sel. I say Gio. Wait. Gio.
Hey, Caillou, long time no see. Caillou, you look great today.
Okay, and then it's pronounced Key.
Good evening, Caillou.
Yeah, close enough. And then Ghosty's nickname is Wife.
Good evening.
Brick.
Hey, wife.
What if we just change it to Kyo? Would that be better?
Hyo, you look great today. Good evening, Hyo.
Kyo. Key. Fuck. Key. Fuck.
Hey, Hyo, long time. Hyo, you
Hold
look
on.
great
I'll get
today.
this. Key. And then O.
Hey, Hyo, long time no see. Good evening, Hyo. Hyo, you look great today.
Perfect.
Who knew Freddy Fazbear would bring Hyo and me together? I'm glad wife has the same quirky interests as me.
Well, Blondie map. Short B. Yeah. 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷. Sans plum.
And just like that, I stole your wife, Celery. Oh, I'm hop skipping. Oh, we hop skipping. Why is Kiona tall? Because I'm ridiculously short. We're hop skipping. Okay. How is everyone else? Celery's in his house. That would make sense. What's up, Cel? Are you hungry? You wanna try some food? I've got charcoal grilled beef.
Yum.
Guys,
Give him Yuri. You're so right. I don't have any more on me though. Eat some nachos.
That's too much for me right now.
You?
Yum.
Also, why do you not want to be friends with anyone? You genuinely don't. Expressions? Add a catchphrase. Ooh. What should we do? I swear to God. What? You know what? Catchphrase Boko's binded. Wait. Yeah, we should. Boat goes vinted. I hate it here. Okay.
Boat goes vinted.
Look, the happy little guy. Let's perform lab experiments on him. Hi, Zayu. Alright, here's your catchphrase, Sal. Give him.
Boat goes vinted. That is such a me thing to say.
You have the hiccups. Wife will save you.
Huff.
Save her. Save
I didn't
me.
know you could beatbox. The hiccups. Hic. Their end. Hic. Less. Not a moment to lose.
I didn't know you could beatbox.
Oh, you're actually helping me. You're the best. I don't mind one bit. Whimper, whimper.
Yippee! Oh. They're sleeping. What? Oh. Oh. Are my Miis okay? Do they have okay dreams? Are they okay? Should I check up on them? Okay. I'm just gonna go now.
Ah. Whoa. It was a dream.
I got a car suit. Thanks.
Oh. What's up?
Not much. Oh.
What's the worry?
Yuck.
Oh,
I love the sea.
you have to go get with Jesse.
You.
Okay. Okay. I don't know what that was.
I wouldn't make
Are you good?
Good evening.
Hello.
I don't like eggs.
My look is lacking a certain something. Can you get me some headwear that matches my current outfit?
What?
Oh, you think?
I don't have money. Speaking of, you need to eat. Let's try dim sum on you.
Yum.
You liked it?
Yum.
Oh, you really like that. Dang, he really liked that. Thank you. Jeez, me would like dapper as fuck with the top hat. He would. The public benches are cute. Yeah.
We're about to be removed from the game. It was weird.
Oh.
Bro, it threatened to remove me. Go invisible, bitch. I love Spider-Man. You make trying to do the stone.
This is dead as fun as fuck to watch. I'm gonna be so 100% ghost. Is it? Boko's been dead. I need to see you use that more. Let me. I think I can select all of this and then clear it. And then we can design the island a bit better. Clear selection, hold A to batch. Hold A. Okay. Store. Can I not store these? Oh, maybe I can't. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm American.
Let's move the houses over here.
I didn't mean
I think. Yeah.
or no. I couldn't even guess how to spell that.
The houses over here. We'll get rid of some stuff over here too,
I will die like a
unfortunately.
man.
But I think it'll be fine.
Just breathe! Thing gonna be alright.
That way, at least I can group everyone together for a
Don't
sec.
worry about a thing.
Jesse is singing his life back there.
Be alright. I said don't.
Okay.
Sayu, I
This
I don't have my food.
more like here.
I can make it. I can.
Okay. Store that.
Like,
Oh, you can just store the weeds? I didn't know that. That makes it so much more convenient, actually. So I'm assuming it can go as far as probably. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I'm assuming I can go as far as the illuminated square. Honestly, I could just make it all.
I'm in my own fucking world.
Can I group all this? Frick. Can I make a request for a fishing area if it's possible? Ooh! Yeah! I don't know if I can fish necessarily, but I can make like a little dock for sure. I think I could probably get that around. And at least just make it look like a fishing area, because I don't know if you can actually fish in here. Oh my god. This is excruciating. Not the water fountain. Weeds, palm tree, weeds, palm tree. More weeds.
I wanted to like to.
So many weeds.
I was like, oh, I want to get water.
Gotta hang it clicking the weeds. Wait, we're getting somewhere? No. If I can just store these, I'd much rather do that, because I don't really like the weeds, but I also didn't know how to get rid of them. I didn't know if it would be like an Animal Crossing thing where you have to like drop them.
I did not go back on.
Yeah, I missed a palm tree. Fuck. Okay. Oh, you can zoom in. Oh, wait, I like that. Okay. So now I can build. We really hate vegetation. Kind of.
If you didn't do it alone.
I can change all these to grass. Oh wait, those are like meadows. Okay, that's what it looks like. And I think
Lead on my laptop.
make a dock right here, honestly. Because I like the front area, but it's like I might extend it, but I want to expand more that area, in all honesty. Okay, so oh, what? There's a filled.
It's slobbering time.
Oh, that's very convenient. Thank you, game. I owe you my life, Nintendo. Okay. Are we the Overlord? Yeah. From what I'm gathering. Oh, that's someone's house. Okay. New settings. Oh. Enjoy that. Thank you, game. Okay. I'm getting very distracted. So that's the grass. And then I think, yeah, I can build off just like that. So if I make this like that, this tool will probably help me fill it out more to make it look more rounded. And then I'll go once over. I think I can do sand after this. So once I have kind of a layout going, I think then I'll go over it with like sand and outline it. More rounded like that, maybe? Yeah. 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 Okay. City grass. And then sandy beach. Which sandy beach? You can drive. How convenient. Okay, hold on. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. I do want a really big beach area in this corner, though, low-key. I might just make it fully square. Holy shit. Maybe this area could be like more cliff area. So then that can be the residential area. And then I'm gonna go out through again with the beach and kind of just clear this out a little bit around it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I put my headphones on. Yeah, I hate the thread.
Okay. And then round it out a little bit more here because I don't want a lot. I'll keep that. Round out these corners more so they don't look like terrible, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I actually don't like how wide I did that. Wait, that would be cute. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then do like a little bit of water here. Said I wanted it to be more cliff-based. Yeah, okay. Asphalt and dirt, and then road. Oh, clover path, grass path, dirt path, asphalt path, concrete. Okay, interesting. So,
Fuck. God. Thank you. Oh my god.
so then I do.
I wasn't sure. Oh, I do have that's like there we go.
So then. Wait! Frick. Hold on. I completely forgot that I couldn't actually. Hold on. It would need to be this slow for a house. Because then you put that there.
Yeah, I know, you know. Okay, so I went in.
I think 3 wide looks good. I'm gonna Celery's house back. And then
I need Gatorade. Oh, this one? Can I see his body?
I think I did that.
Oh, I mean, this is...
Yeah. And then right here. That'll oh no. My apologies. Right there. Oh no, my apologies. Hold on. The equity. Okay. So there's those houses, and then I think
Yeah, the wall.
Nope. I think I could set it up. Yeah, like that. Okay. Then Jesse's house can be right. Nope. Right. Nope. Right. Where did I put Jesse? Right here. Yeah. Or is it better if we like did that? Because I can't do that. We'd have to move it over one. Right there's not bad. Wait, you can rotate? Oh. That's really convenient, actually. I didn't know that you could rotate them. I would have just made them all like an actual circle. I was trying to find the best way they would all look good. Okay. That's fine. I'll just put your house right here. And then nope. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah. Okay, and then rotate your house right there. Yeah. And then if we get more houses, perchance, I'll put them down here probably. I feel like that should be in the middle, right? Or should it be in a like completely different area? But I figured that is kind of like a staple.
The reason I didn't. His nose.
I think I wanted to go all the way down here. And then I'll bring the grass out more too, just a bit. And then I could put the shops there, I think. Yeah.
I need fair.
Nope. Actually, hold on. I'm not the best at this, low-key. I do want these up, actually. And then I want this.
Oh, hey. I was like, why did that combo kill? Spider-Man!
Oh! I didn't know I to go to the
Welcome,
shop.
please come again.
I saw. I think I'm gonna put quick build and bite. Well, no, quick build would look good over here, actually. Yeah. And flower planters over at the Fresh Kingdom. And this one. Yeah.
Yo, can this fucker... Can you move? Up here.
Do like a little fencing, I guess.
I see it right there.
Yeah. I think that's what I want to do. There will definitely be still openings, but until I can figure out what to do to smoothly transition, I guess. I think that's all I can do for now. And then I guess I could put some wheats around. Just not like a whole lot. I think is where we're going with that. I have a lot of space. Okay. Enemies using their items of facilities that you place on the island model by themselves, but sometimes they also react when you drop them on top of something. The quick build, amenities, sell trees, benches, vending machines, and more. How do you think your muse might react to some of those items? There's only one way to find out. Try dropping them on various items and see what happens. Sure.
Welcome.
There are vending machines. Spending all my money.
Thank you very much.
Who needs me?
A little higher. That's the spot. That's great. Aw, yeah.
I was
You saved me from my hiccups.
ahead of her.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a laptop.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Celery!
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. We've just received some wonderful news. An event is being held in honor of Bestie and to celebrate 10 boosts to island residents' happiness levels. Let's go live to the event.
What? For me? Oh my god, look at us.
Bestie.
We give you
our
our
eternal
eternal
thanks.
thanks.
Aww. I got a trophy. They gave Ghosty the biggest instrument.
What a
yet.
wonderful performance,
Of course,
and a
Cell wasn't
remarkable
there.
way to express appreciation for Bestie. It truly warms the heart. I'm 𝚃𝚷𝙷𝙃𝙲𝙷, and you're up to date.
They're gonna play.
Huh. Good evening. I'd like some dinner.
Nachos.
Yum.
Oh, yeah.
We now have some love marker.
I feel a bit more.
I feel a bit more like myself. What do you want, Sal?
Got a sec. I wanna chat.
Are you gonna ask me some weird question again?
I promise I'm not gonna steal it, but what's your most prized possession?
My most prized possession. I don't know. What is my prized possession? A vape.
I got you. Let's got you, share. Share, please, share, please.
Body pillow.
Okay. Hey, buddy.
Body pillow.
Yep.
Oh, I get that. If I had a body pillow, I'd probably build a whole museum to house it.
Alright. Until next time. Yo, what? What?
Well, anyway, soon 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷.
It's a meetup time for big time Yuri enthusiasts.
𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷 in a channel. 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷 collected in 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷. But then again, 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷. Sure, live in Graz Similento. 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝙃𝙲𝙷 choppa. Brandon of Flappen. Oh blab.
Oh.
Kelly Grant Blue Dylan Blue. So I said, Captain Low Hardly Snowprint.
I see.
So,
Well, you guys have fun. I'm just gonna go to the fountain. Reach level 10. I get more expressions now, I'm pretty sure. Yeah! What do I have? Eating styles? Ooh. Why are both the Yuri enthusiasts variants of you? I don't know. Travel tickets. Alright, Jesse.
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news.
Okay.
Island residents have long dreamed of traveling the world, and now their wish has come true.
Have they?
Residents can now be given the gift of travel by selecting travel tickets from the Wishing Fountain. At hearing the news, locals exclaimed, "I can't wait to finally take a vacation." But how can we know what innumerable horrors await us beyond the safety of our familiar shores? The first available trip is an Oceania tour. I'm told a wish has already been added, so someone can leave immediately. Check the Wishing Fountain to learn more. Unlike other wishes, it's possible to give the travel ticket multiple times. Granting wishes increases the number of destinations. All this travel news has the island residents buzzing with excitement. Literally buzzing, like a bunch of bees. It's weird. Thanks for watching. I'm Jesse, and you're up to date.
Alright. Send celery to Australia. You're so right. He needs a vacation.
Oh. Are you really giving me an Oceania tour? Thank you so much. Time to pack my bags. So many sheep. I've got wool sweaters for days.
Say cheese.
Oh!
Coral galore. It's Australia's Great Barrier Reef.
Say cheese.
Why is he so pissed?
Cruising down Australia's Great Ocean Road. Might make a pit stop to take a quick dip.
Say cheese.
I didn't know we go with him. Do you want to save the photos? Save them.
Is you Angela?
That was a wonderful trip. Thanks so much for letting me take it. I have a souvenir for you.
Aww.
I already know.
Good evening.
What do you think?
Ugh. I've been thinking too hard. My head feels all fuzzy inside.
Minigame. Alright, so this one you have to like clear their brain.
Help me clear my mind.
Yippee.
Phew. I feel so much better now.
Okay, where is Ghosty? Okay, you're no longer doing a meeting, which is good. So we're gonna have you go talk to Keith.
You know what's missing from modern romance? If you ask me, it's a Yuri. I have no words. A Yuri, huh?
Oh man!
Telegram. April. Listen North 2. Tindalanda. Me. Avatrackle. Whimper. Schmipper. Yeah. Rabbit snap elbow.
Do you know when they get up to stuff even when you're not watching? Wish you could get some kind of daily report on Sakura. Perhaps an MM news station is in order. Once you build one, you can get all sorts of fun reports about your daily lives. Oh Jesus. Okay. I'll put it over here.
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. Here's what's happening on our island. The Sakura MNN news station is now fully operational. The dulcet tones of island residents will deliver the island's hottest topics once a day. Stop by MNN Daily to make sure you don't miss a single story.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
You're welcome.
I'm 𝚃𝚆𝙷𝚃𝙲, and you're up to date.
Hello, and welcome to the evening edition of Me News.
Hello.
Folks, we have an underdog story to report today.
This is Kiona's shoulder.
𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲 has been working out lately and really getting into it. In fact, she was scheduled for leg day today. But shockingly, she simply decided to not do it. Reached for comment, 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲 told reporters that her lazy side won out. It's like a voice in my head was telling me to stay in bed, she said. We asked residents for their reactions.
I've got to tell someone about this.
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
Thanks for watching.
You're welcome.
I'm Ghosty, and this has been the 6 o'clock news.
Thanks. Have you been enjoying the Me News broadcast? Did you know that you can replay your favorites? You can queue up old favorites anytime at the news station, but as more stories break, the older ones will eventually get delisted. Be sure to lock any favorites that you want to keep forever. You can lock up 49 stories at any given time. Okay, interesting. Oh, Jonah's running.
No.
Oh.
How are you so fast? No.
Celery! We look at celery! Hello? Hey. Hey, buddy. Don't mind it. They're just playing, I promise. Wait, don't look at me like... Oh, look at them, they're chasing each other!
Quadgalati. Travel.
Motherfucker!
Oh!
You won't catch me.
I fell!
How are you so fast? Try and catch me.
Oh my god, they're all playing catch.
So Oregon, I'm in love.
Oh, now we're talking. What?
Shorty. Yeah,
Looks
yeah.
like it seems some Miis are planning on gathering here. Why do you have your engagement?
Whimper. Schmimper. Limpinor 2. Yeah, rather
What do you have your
Aldo.
engagement ring?
Yes, Corona.
Oh, just casually ghosting.
Jan Silent Thought. Montiana Burgerning.
Oh, Cell's coming.
Sandy. Dip Tap. Java. Ringle Check Demand. Orange Ball. Salad Clabba. Samsung. Me. Savage Rackle.
Why do you have your
Tina kept rolling.
Oh,
Meldab and Dingle Ringle. Yeah. Sam and Grab a
they're
Backpack.
ardently agreeing with one another that an engagement ring is the light and darkness.
Boondle.
They all want to get married.
Limit Brulana Team Sam. Yeah. Tasm Bagel Francie. Yeah. Quick Planet Jam over Crab and Viola.
Interesting.
Single jab at the Bramo. Well, trans fran is a Chambo.
I love how I'm having a presentation.
Boondle. Tiki Lala Blambo. Oh, Trappy Rindo Bob.
Looks like everyone
Yours
else
Civil
is in
Doom
their
Dam.
houses.
Yeah.
I
Quick Planet Jam over
honestly
Crab and Viola.
want to
Single jab at the Bramo. Well,
do their
trans
houses
fran is a
more.
Chambo. Blackie. Real.
I just don't have the money.
Well,
Well, I guess
no.
I have some money. Polka dot, honeycomb, groovy, modern triangle, natural wood, simple living cheek, sorry, garage set, antique marble. I only have enough for certain ones. I also just don't know. Oh, that's not bad. We can get that.
Thank you very much. Please
then-
come again.
We bought one for Kiyomi. So let's go. Is it her?
Good evening.
I give her. Yeah, this one. I also have to get her clothes. Yay, she likes it.
This is exactly the kind of room I wanted to live in. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So you're good. Are you guys still having your meeting?
Sifu. Boondle.
Yeah,
Tiki
you're all
Lala
right.
Brando.
You guys are still
Oh, Trappy Rindo Bob.
talking about.
Yours Civil Doom Dam.
engagement.
Oh, Trappy Rindo Bob. Yours Civil Doom Dam. Single jab at ya. Bramo. Meldab and Dingle Ringle. Yeah. Sam and Grab a
I raided
Backpack.
Cell's house though. Oh, are you guys leaving? Oh. I should add more stairs. It is kind of awkward when they all go up one stair.
I hope they aren't sold out of the Cornish pasty I want yet.
Cornish pasty. Ooh. Oh. Sells a copy. It's actually. What is up with Lairden?
Oof. Sorry. My mind was somewhere else.
No, it's my fault. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Then we're both fine. Good. Stay safe out there.
I never knew Rika could transfix me like this. I hope she looks at me. No. I'm too nervous. I think I'm falling in love with Rika.
You're imagining things.
Yeah. I do have a pretty active imagination.
Bitch, I cannot have two people liking Rika at the same thing. At the same time. Hey Bessie, quick word about relationships. The Miis that live on your island will naturally develop feelings for each other and even begin relationships. Kids can become besties with kids, and adults can have romantic flings or even get married to adults. They may need your advice in these matters, so be sure to give them your best. Yeah, no, you're imagining things, bud.
One healer.
Foo 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 foo. Foo 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 foo.
Yeah, keep on singing, bud. Because Jessie likes Rika too.
Huh. I'm looking for something to do. Wanna play shadow quiz with me?
Sure.
Here's your first mystery shadow. What do you think it is?
A TV.
The
Variety show.
answer is variety show. Next, your second mystery shadow. What do you think it is?
A mosquito coil? It's the only thing that it could be. It's either scrambled eggs or spaghetti.
The answer is mosquito coil. And finally, the last mystery shadow. What do you think it is?
Mushroom. Yuri! It's a mushroom.
The correct answer is mushroom.
Even if Cell and Rika did get together, I'm pretty sure Rika would also decline.
Congratulations, you
She
won.
declined Jessie too.
Time for your prize. Go ahead, pick one.
Middle. Fire. Okay.
I'm not traveling the fuck up. Where are you?
Hi, Kyo. You're gonna go talk to Cell.
Over here.
Celadon, hey there.
Erp.
Oh. So, can I talk to you real quick? Can I give you a room? And why does he say herb? There. Now you look somewhat put together. Why are both of your burners on? Why are both of your burners on, sir?
Yeah, this is different. Thank you.
You're welcome.
They have skins.
I guess. Now play with your wife. What am I doing? I want to be friends. I'm bored and want some company. What if I take you to Cell's house? Do all three of you hang out? Oh, I'm just spinning. I spin. Oh, okay. Okay.
Something on your mind.
Nothing.
Wife, come back. I'm sorry. Can I need to wear this. I want this one.
I feel like I'm getting closer to who I truly am.
Good. I'm sitting with my blush. Stop, that's cute. Jesse.
Whoa. That cloud looks just like Honey Bear. Am I lovesick?
Healing and
Good to know that you're still madly in love with her. Let's go talk to her. Let's see if she'll talk to you back.
Let my thoughts reach you.
Who's Rika? Rika's my IRL self. I just had to change the name, so it's my lore accurate
Huh.
name.
Why did hubby suddenly pop into my head?
Wait. No, go back. Play. Hang out with your wife.
Wife, good evening. Kyo. Heya, hee hee.
for money. I have
Oh my goodness.
Lower, lower, right there. A little more, right there. A little, that's the ticket. You saved me from my hiccups. Thanks.
You're welcome. Oh my god, they're having steamy. They're talking circles around each other and they know it. Why are they steamy?
So, can we go charcoal with the Frenchies? And how about this rain and stuff looking at Frenchie? Oh, in a shady farm with the channel tomorrow.
Oh damn. I have no idea where Rika is. Did she go home? She did.
Nice seeing you here. Well, is it? Huh, that's a rare one. Come back again.
They're still talking circles.
Welcome. Sorry, looks like this is a bit too spendy for you.
Hi gamer! Come in! Hello, hello! Ooh, there's fences too. Okay.
Please come again.
I don't think I want to grab anything yet. Wait, are they done? Did you guys finish your conversation? Was it good? Splendid? Was it everything you could have dreamed? Nope. Nope. Fair enough. Wait, Ghosty, why did you just go into Rika's house?
my damnedest.
And that's the twin doodle that double tap. Frenchie.
They're giving speeches about the history and good qualities of Sakura.
Oh, blast.
Fair enough. You doing is shopping. Eating.
Someone will take me, bro.
Oh, she's window shopping. Wait, I got more stuff. I did. Frick. That's not what I meant to do.
Yo, I was
I'll
just
put some
seeing
lights
that.
around.
How did my
I'm actually gonna take this one and put it up here. Yes. Yes.
I want to hang out somewhere with a water view.
Well, Jesse, there you live on an island. Okay, give me 1 second. Your brought us all beautiful and cute. Ah, thank you.
that breed? Okay, what's the
Sorry, my sister is texting me. Okay. Looks like Jesse's out playing his games. We're still in the house. It's the gathering of the bestie fan club.
But then again,
I'm glad they hang out so much. Okay. So, Rick said he wanted a me. I can add 64 me's. Jesus. Okay. So, I think the logical answer is to make this as cursed as I can. What color are bricks? This color? Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I tried and I was like, yo, I really
Yeah. You should add Simi. Ooh, I should.
Right. Yeah, I can sit down for
Okay. So,
no, no.
oh. Well, hold on. Is that orange enough? I don't remember what color we were gonna do. And then I need it straight.
Right.
Okay. 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 And then, what does a brick look like? I don't remember. Does it have little circles up here? Oh yeah. Probably make them like black. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. They got like holes in them, don't they? Or no, it's like squares. Oh wait, no, it's not holes, it's squares, isn't it? It's like...
Fail.
It's like... Oh, wait, that's not gonna go well. What does a brick look like? Brick has holes? It has holes, okay. Does it have like, how many holes does it have? We got like a lot of holes? 6? Okay. Shit. Hold on. Okay. Oh, wait. Go back. I just realized I can move these. Bricks up. Pretty sure his PNG has like 2. I think he has 6. Give him 3. Okay. Like, these kind of like... Why do I feel like I know what they are? I'm just gonna give him 2. He's gonna look like a little... Or... Give him 3? I think I'm gonna go sell this thing. Or just give him 3.
Oh, I got edged by the whale.
Okay. Yeah! And then, doesn't it normally have, like, texture, I guess? Don't bricks have texture? Don't they have, like... If you can make, like, a sandpaper texture? I don't think I can. Oh my god, you know what I need to do? I need to get a brick so that I can just put it on. I don't think any of the stamps are gonna help me. That's okay. I think yeah. Can I give him a mount still? Oh, hi, Rick! How tall do you want to be? I'm beautiful? Okay, I'll just make you as tall as Jesse. Because I think I made Jesse accidentally the max height. Can you stop? I'm making him as tall as you because I set you on max height on accident. Yeah. I don't know. I would love to be the same height as Jesse. Alright. And then we'll make you a little bit bigger because you're a big bag.
My name is Brick.
Brick, what would you like your birthday to be, and how old would you like to be? Did you remember my birthday, Ghost? Jesse, help me. Like my actual age or a made up one? Up to you. Up to you. Make him ancient? Alright. Huh. Okay. So you give me 150.
Oh.
My name is Brick. It's nice to meet you. Today is a
My name is Brick. It's nice to meet you. Today, my name is Brick. It's nice to meet you. My name is Brick. My name is Brick. My name is Brick. It's nice to meet you. Today.
Alright. Oh wait, you're not related to anyone. Okay. Movement. He's a brick, so I think he's pretty slow. Speech. I feel like he's polite. He doesn't speak though. Rude speech. Energy, flat or varied. I'd say you're happy medium. Thinking, chill for sure. Overall, normal or quirky. That's what you get, by the way. That's what these options are for overall. Is normal or quirky? You're quirky. Wait, and for event outfits, we're gonna make you wear either or. Let's build a house for Brick. From now on, you'll be able to place houses anywhere you like on the island. Please choose a location for Brick's house. Brick will go... I'll be right there.
Your bestie, right? It's nice to meet you. I'm a considerate sweetie with a heart of gold. People often say they find me calming. I hope we get along well.
Oh wait, I forgot that the face paint is just a PNG.
Where the fuck is this bitch going?
Oh man. Brick is bored and wants some company. Oh, do I have the guy for you? You're gonna go visit 𝚃𝚷𝙷.
Here we are. We haven't met yet, have we? My name is Brick.
Yeah. I'm 𝚃𝚷𝙷.
Fabo, 𝚃𝚷𝙷.
Brick is talking about his beloved body pillow collection.
𝚃𝚷𝙷 web. Now I'm closer with 𝚃𝚷𝙷. Thank you.
Well, Clorandi map. Oh.
Timberwanda.
Rapleaf map. Ringle checks demand. Thailand right.
Wait, okay, we gotta make Simi. Okay. Guys, what's an appropriate skin color for Simi where it's not racist? Just make him a bag? Well, I'm making it look like there's a bag over his head. You fucking hush up, I'm doing what I'm doing. What color is his skin? It's like a mocha. A nice mocha. Like a spicy caramel. I don't know what to name my Animal Crossing island. Ball. Cock and ball torture. 2 up. Like this one? This one? Down, left. Why is it so orange? No, literally, that's the problem I'm having with these. There ain't good ones. Might have to suffer with this one. Cause I think my Switch is also just showing a lot more orange. Cause it looks pretty dark on my screen. Well, not super dark, but okay. Wait, he cut his hair recently, didn't he? Oh! I didn't know that there were all these hairstyles. What the heck? He's built like a lion. Ooh.
We came back.
Wait. Alright, we got it, we got it. We're gonna give him just some plain Jane ones. I'm gonna go do the face paint real quick because I want to see what all shows up. He's just a brown bag, right? Oh. Is that what all shows up? I see. It's okay, I can make it work. And then it's like ripped at the bottom, isn't it? This.
Yeah, but most is her. But like her. But like more. Like, no, I don't want your sister. This door doesn't open? I am so stupid.
It's okay. We don't need most of his facial features anyway. I low-key just wanted to give him his hair so it looked okay from the back.
No, I want your sister.
And do a darker one maybe for the top.
Damn sack.
So I want to give it some depth too. We'll do it like up here.
I go blood in.
Okay, and then we'll erase this corner. Okay. So we'll get rid of the nose. We'll get rid of the eyebrows. We'll get rid of the mouth. Ice, 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 ice. I think this works. Unless we do that. I like that. Do we want to change his hair or do we want to keep it? I like it. I think it's funny. I like it. I do too. Bagman is the same height as me. I found this out. That looks so uncanny. I might make him taller than me, Loki. This dude doesn't look terribly short. So I'm pretty sure all of my Mii's heights are messed up. To be sure, he is. I just don't know if I like. We'll do that. Okay, should we do Simi? And then have like Bagman be like nicknames that people call him? Okay.
That's dumb too.
My name is Simi.
I like the way you think, Magic Dead Cat. Thanks! Eating preferences? All of them. I don't know his birthday either. So we might also just make him old as fuck. Oh wait, no, I do know his age. Is he 26 now? I thought he was still 25. Is it relic? Alright. We'll just keep it 1-to-1. I think I can change that later anyway. For his...
My name is Simi. My name is Simi. My name is Simi.
My name is Simi. My name is Simi. My name is Simi. My name is Simi.
My name is Simi. It's nice to meet you. Today is April 20th, 2020. My name is Simi. It's nice to meet you. Today is April 20th, 2026. My name is Simi.
That one? Alright.
My name is Simi.
Movement. Oh my god, I don't know about the personalities. The personalities are hard, because I don't know very many personalities. These also are really weird to, like, do. Guys, hold on. These are the options. It has to be exactly 1 below average on everything except energy being on max. What do you think? So varied. But I wouldn't even say that these are like average. These are just like either or questions. It's like the Myers-Briggs test. Super chill. He is super chill, actually. I'd say he's super polite, too. Honestly, Simi might be the most normal out of all of us. But he has his moments. What were my settings? I'll have to look. We'll just do that. I think we'll do that. Okay. Oh, he's a sweetie too. I keep making the same ones. Oh. Hi, Win. Guess we'll just have him here. This is like a what do you honestly think
Your
of Link? Yeah.
bestie, right? It's nice to meet you. I'm Simi. I'm a considerate sweetie with a heart of gold. I hope we get along well.
Oh? Oh no. More room?
We interrupt to bring you some breaking news. Here's what's happening on our island. Work developing the sea around Sakura has progressed nicely, making it possible to expand the island. One excited resident is quoted as saying, "I hope we can keep growing the island until the whole world is the island." Adding residents will expand the surrounding sea, allowing our home to grow even more.
Oh,
Thanks
no.
for watching. I'm Ghosty, and you're up to date.
Dropping in on Brick. Oh shit. Alright. What are you thinking about?
Good evening. My look is lacking a certain something. Can you get me some headwear that matches my current outfit?
I don't have any headwear for you. I don't know what you want from me.
I've got some time on my hands. How about a game of red light, green light?
Alright, bet. I'm calling myself out here. I can't play this game because I take care of them more than myself. That's so valid.
Here we go. Green light. Red light. Green light. Red light. Caught you moving.
I barely touched
You
it!
lose, bestie. Hey, you can't win 'em all. But you can get this as a consolation prize.
A box of tissues, thanks. Why do you have so many ads? I don't know. Am I playing a ridiculous amount? I don't think I'm rolling too many ads.
You know what? That motherfucker.
Ew. What am I doing? I don't understand what this point is.
Quit it. I'm ticklish.
What the fuck?
When I imagined Honey Bear treating me coldly, I got so freaked out I froze up.
Oh heck. Why are we manhandling Jesse? I don't know.
I feel like I'm becoming my true self more and more.
Oh my god, they all hate my phone. Jesse seems to be watching Jesse closely. Press A to encourage them to talk.
I don't think I've introduced myself yet, have I? They call me Ghosty.
Nice to meet you, Ghosty. I'm Jesse.
That's Yuri on a startup firm. Sparkle, Yuri Rancy Yuri Pong. Thanks for helping me and Jesse get closer.
You're welcome.
Flimper, Schlimper, Jabble.
Huh. Let's play coin spin together.
Yeah, who is
What
he?
do you think it'll...
Oh, him.
Heads? Huh. Well, let's see if you're right.
Mhm.
Aw,
Man.
too bad. It's
Ghosty going to
tails.
make Ghosty jealous.
Hey, you can't win 'em all. But you can get this as a consolation prize.
Oh my god, okay.
Wait, oh my god, I'm alive. I forgot I was on site.
I've been thinking lately that 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷 and I could get to know each other better. Do you think 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝙃𝙲𝙷 and I would make a good team?
Yes.
Really? Well, maybe there is something there.
What when I do like... When I do like... Sometimes I think I die. Oh, I died. Yeah, well, you know, because like when you die, you're...
Good evening. I'd like some clothes that better suit me.
Oh, I died.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna figure it out when I know him.
Hey, listen to this. The other day, Ghosty almost squashed an ant. Hey, listen to this. Have you ever dropped a bunch of coins and then cried while running around trying to collect them all in a big straw hat?
Fuck.
The truth is, I've decided to study abroad.
Okay, Simi.
Ah. What was that about?
I got a light bulb.
Oh,
Okay, I think everyone's good now.
Not all.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a...
Okay.
It's a living.
Oh.
Over crab and viola that logo clap. Seafood, boodle, Kiki Lala Flambo. Malbat and Dingle Ringle. Yeah. Stand and grab a back neck.
Why am I always a fairy? I don't know. What am I doing?
Zing.
I felt happiness just now.
Okay, try again.
Maybe it was too bright.
Good evening, Kyo. Hi, wife. 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷. Oh, oh. Blue.
Jesse. Should go talk with yeah.
Fancy seeing you here. Where are you off to? Tell me.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. You need help. Wait, I did not mean to drop you, Lucy. Oh.
You're too wonderful for words.
Go back to Rika.
I can't follow him. I can't follow him.
Ah. If it isn't Honey Bear.
Oh my god, I really just don't like Jesse.
Come on.
Oh, Rick.
We haven't met yet, have we? My name is Jesse.
Nice to meet you, Jesse. I'm Brick.
So, you'll even jargle with a
He's
Gramby.
reporting on how serious streaming.
Lima Fruana theme fam. Yeah. That.
You crack me up, Jesse.
Lymphanora 2. Silentha, right.
Maybe pick up Rika and drop her with Jesse? Maybe.
So clever. Samson.
Residents.
Oh, it's not good. Yo, I might switch back.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's a rogue. I made him decently far in the honest. You can see the thing right now. Okay, I have to make sure everyone has it. I'm flat. Alright, there we go. Had to make sure. Oh.
I'm a purple. My name is
He's explaining how he managed to get a rare fishing lure.
Yeah. The tank is as an alpine. Collected in poppy tube.
Oh my god, wait. What are we doing?
Gonna kept rolling.
Polycool Island? Yeah. Oh, so we're just making it interesting now? Yeah. People can date whoever they want. I've decided. Oh my god. Simi's inside. Sal's inside. Brick and Jesse are hanging out.
Hello,
Rika's
I'm
on the-
writing you in regards to
Am I flirting? What's going on? What am I doing?
Let's check tomorrow's weather forecast for Sakura.
Fair enough. Can't complain. Well. Frig. Window. Yeah. Yeah, so like. Okay, I think I'm happy with it. I don't know who else to add. I have a few OCs and a few like just like characters that I like fandoms that I might add. Who knows? Oh, I should probably add Cookie, huh? You wanna see who I'll have?
Yeah.
We got IRL me, you, Jay, Gosi, Cell, Kiona, Simi, and Break.
Okay, first of all, how did you make the boxes?
I just filled the what about me? I literally just said, you gonna add me? Yeah, I can. I just filled in the face paint.
Oh, entirely?
Yeah.
That's fun.
So I made Break and Simi.
Look like fluffy doggy.
You and Break are talking.
And that's a twin doodle 𝚃𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙲. Frenchie, the 𝚃𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙷.
Me and Kiona are in the background talking.
But then again, Panchoid Togola.
My lapandi basic tomorrow. Brongle. I'm a fuffle.
You gonna make
Tornadoes
something to
Dahandi
eat?
plus than yesterday. Sure, live and grats Similento.
So first,
I don't know.
split up tuna with 𝚃𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙲. Farm clam. Old laugh. Spinatoli left.
Chopstick with
Rolling red.
Nutella.
Shun sea bladen. Pull it.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey there. Good evening. Single jab at ya. Ramo. Yeah, let's play the gentle with Ramo.
I'm a little upset.
Oh, trap
Are you
window
ticked
boss.
off?
Ugh,
You're a civil doom dam.
I'm feeling a little upset.
Nah,
Why?
I was talking to Brick, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Lemma flew on a theme fan. Yeah. Phantom battle frenzy. Oh, trappy
Fair
window
enough,
boss.
I guess.
PP Lala Blambo. Real Hingle Maximal.
What are we doing?
Nah.
They're starting a tilly. What is up with Kiona?
Well, Tram is a chambo. Blackie. Malvav and Dingle Ringle. Yeah. Jam and grab a back neck. In a chinny clormy the spatman tomorrow. See so. And that's the twindle at 𝚃𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙲. Crunchy.
Oh my god.
What's happening to me? Looking at wife has got my heart racing. Could what I'm feeling for wife be love?
It must be love.
I knew it. Feelings like this can't be anything but love. I'm going to take a deep breath and ask wife out.
Oh my god! They're joking about a waffle.
Single jab at
Fair
the
enough.
Ramo. Melvab and Dingle Ringle. Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, but clam a gem over crab and violet
We're
as
so
logo
cute,
clap.
we are.
Well, Tram is a chambo. Blackie. Real Hingle Maximal. Nah, gimme on a jibby. Oh, trappy window boss.
I don't know how
You're
but
shovel
your hair
doom dam.
is shorter than mine.
See
That
through.
kind of beautiful.
Boongle.
𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷.
Oh my god, when
Real
do
Hingle
I,
Maximal. Nah, give me on a
when do I get to see you ask me
Tram is a
out?
Chambo. Blacky. Melvab and Dingle Ringle. Yeah. Jam and grab a back net.
Not a good Jesse and
Single
Celery
tap
today.
at Hello. Seafood. Boodle.
Well, obviously it's not working with Rika, so... Jesse, get off your game. Going to sell self.
Bleh.
Oh? He's so ticked off! Oh my god. Brick really, like, pissed him off. Oh my god, he is moody. Hi. I would.
Well, Tram is a Chambo. Blacky. Single jab at ya. Ramo. Oh, Trappy Rindo Boss. You're a shovel doom. Well, Tram is a Chambo. Blacky.
Jesse. Got games on your phone?
No. Just can't do it.
Brick is making a constellation. Okay. Is bored and wants some company.
Oh,
I'll get you next time.
Go talk with Brick. Here.
Single jab at ya. Ramo. Lima through on a scene
What are
fam.
you-
Bleh.
Yeah. That's
You
a battle
listening
frenzy. Real Hingle Maximal. Nah, gimme on a chippy. Lima through on a scene fam. Yeah. That's a battle frenzy.
Oh.
Single jab at
What
ya.
are you looking
Ramo.
for, Brick?
Well, Tram is a Chambo. Blacky. Seafood. Boodle.
What did you say wrong with Jesse?
I'm feeling a little upset.
Yeah, why?
I was talking to Jesse, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
You're a shovel doom dam. Lima through on a scene fam. Yeah. That's a battle frenzy. Seafood. Boodle.
Oh my gosh, wait. I want to go to the clothing shop. I love this. I want this game so bad. It's so fun. But hi, Lish. Oh no!
Huh.
Are you good?
I'm not feeling like myself. I'll be fine though.
Oh, okay. Read this. There you go. Get your little space. her to have her hands full. Yeah.
I feel like I'm becoming my true self more and more. I feel like a heavy weight has been lifted from my shoulders.
Good.
Sigh. I think I'm falling for wife. Huh. I'm not feeling like myself. I'll be fine though.
I have no pants. I have no pants.
I was talking to Kyo, but things just didn't click.
Better not say that ever again. I don't have anything to give you either. I think I'm... how did I do this again? I don't remember.
Sigh. Huh. I'm not feeling like myself. I'll be fine though.
Oh, there we go. Bum, bum.
Good evening.
You don't have much clothes. That's okay. There's not much clothes today. Oh my. They seem to be arguing over Rika's features. Oh. Wait, can I watch the news about any of it? Oh no, I don't. This is just... What are you doing?
Is it nighttime in your world too?
No, actually, it's pretty bright out. What is up with Solarium? Again? Again?
It's like Rika is a butterfly, fluttering by to bless me with love. Yes, that's what this feeling is. It's love.
You know what?
So
Sure,
it's love
Celery.
after all.
What can I do?
I'm actually in love.
Go
I
she
should
rigged
start
this,
thinking
my
of
fault.
romantic date ideas. Where could I take Rika?
In front of Jesse? I'm still getting getting familiar with you. You're staring at me. Hang out with your friend.
I want to hang out somewhere with a water view.
Oh. I'm 𝚃𝚷𝙷𝙃𝙷𝙷.
Nice to meet you, 𝚃𝚷𝙷𝙃𝙷. I'm Jesse.
Jamble Jesse talk.
𝚃𝚷𝙷𝙃𝙷 is
Coral and
humbly
Happy.
talking about himself in the hopes of making a new friend.
𝚃𝚃𝙷𝙃𝙷𝙃𝙷. Razin Coral Morno.
You guys go have fun. Thanks for everything you've done to make this island a wonderful place. Now it might be nice if the Mii's had a place to gather, enjoy a meal, and chat, don't you think? I've got just the thing. Why don't we build our own restaurant right here in Sakura? A cafe? Oh yes. Demi. Oh. Oh frick. Oh frick. Should we have a seaside? We have a seaside. I can't place this here. Seaside. 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 Sick. Between Kyo crushing on Ghosty and you and Jesse.
We interrupt
crushing
to
on
bring you
Rika
some
is
breaking
also
news.
True.
Here's what's happening on our island. Tomodachi, a food-serving establishment known as a restaurant, has opened on Sakura. This will be a great place for people to get together for the purpose of talking with their mouths full. I can't wait to eat while staring at someone else's face the whole time, one resident said in a very sarcastic tone. Thanks for watching. I'm 𝚃𝚆𝙷𝙃𝙷𝙃𝙷, and you're up to date.
Well, that turned out great. You can grab Mii's and bring them into the restaurant at any time. It's a perfect spot for Mii's who get along to chat and hang out. I know just the people. You have hiccups. Go see.
Higher, higher. Right there. A little more. Amazing.
Okay.
My hiccups are all gone. Thank you so much.
Fiona, what are you thinking about?
Good evening.
Oh, I got you.
Help me clear
my God.
mind. Phew.
Thanks.
Hey. Whoa. Hey, wipe.
Fancy seeing you here.
Oh, trapping window boss. You're shovel doom down.
Learning the truth about engagement rings is shaking them to their core.
𝚃𝚆𝙷𝙃𝙷𝙃𝙷. Malbab and Dingle Noodle. Yeah.
Okay, and then Jesse shall come back here.
What?
Yeah.
Bleh.
𝚃𝚷𝙷𝙃𝙷𝙃𝙷. Hey there.
Bleh.
Nah, 𝚃𝚆𝙷𝙃𝙷𝙃𝙷.
The type is 𝚃𝚆𝙷𝚃𝙲𝙷, elliptic
Talking about
coffee.
tissues.
But then again, canceling something less. My love on faces tomorrow. Rongo. I'm a couple. Or maybe the haunted plus from yesterday.
Wait, my pouching. Date? Yes. Level 12. Seesaw. I still think there's some sort of level intelligence that controls the interactions, because no way the engagement ring is fully random. Ow, Demi, stop, please. How is everyone doing? Get a ghosty date. Look at this engagement thing I bought. Seller and Jesse date. A box of tissues. They're discussing the lore of tissues.
Then a total left. Then Steve Sancho. Want to pour the on. Put some extra formal.
Hey. Yum. Yeah.
This game just dating sim? Kind of. It's where you can, like, hang out.
Hey, good evening.
Dating's just kind of part of it that's, like, funny. You're hungry too.
Yum.
Bagman's in the background! Bread? Ooh, will you make me Texas toast?
Real Hingle Maximal.
Oh.
Nah, Indiana Jibby.
Yeah, it's hot. Will you turn on the AC?
Ramo. No, that is Hingle Hingle. No.
I'm so happy I got you to add TIMEE. I'm so happy I added TIMEE. I don't even know where he is. Oh, he's pondering. Let me deep brick. Alright.
Good evening.
Jesse says brick is his.
I'm hungry. Yum.
Who else do you plan on adding? Cookie for now. And then I don't know. You got 70 slots. Yeah, there's a lot of slots. I don't even know how to put 70 people. Like, that's insane to me. So fun. They're agreeing with one another that engagement rate is the light of darkness. Oh, we're having a little date!
Single checks demand.
Single jab at
You know, hubby, that hairstyle really suits you.
Cookie and
Oh,
roast.
please. Your hairstyle suits you so much better. It's been the talk of Sakura all week.
You're wrong. I will now proceed to tell you why. Your hairstyle suits you so well, it should just be called the hubby.
Oh, yeah, right. Honey Bear, you're rocking the hairstyle so hard. Everyone on Sakura wants to copy you.
As if I'd ever believe that. Your hairstyle is so perfect. I want to go get it myself. Don't even try to disagree with me.
You win. Let's just move on now. Shorty, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the money? Hey, come on.
We're still talking about engagement rate. Where did Cell go? He's just walking. I feel like a third wheel watching that. Okay, let's add Cookie. And then you're brown. You're more pretty blonde. I think you're more dark. Oh god. Might need to add a rainy me to get celery today. You have blue eyes. I don't know what kind of blue. Okay. There we go.
They're hot.
Did you make
No.
my controller just died. Ah! Ah! I know. Hold on. Oh my god, can I? Yeah, my phone. My Switch died. I don't have a charger in my nearest facility. Hold on. Okay, we found a church. Okay. Peace. There we go. Luscious locks. Hmm. We're going with this one. Take it or leave it. Fully customization? Yeah. This has an insane level of customization. Is that the hair you gave me? Is it? It might be, honestly. I can always change it, worst case.
My name is Cookie.
Cookie dough style. Jesse. What's Sam's birthday? Of what? Of April? 4? 5. Thanks. Love you.
My name is Cookie. It's nice to meet you. My name is Cookie. It's nice.
My name is Cookie. It's nice to meet you. Today is April 20th. My name is Cookie. It's nice to meet you.
Alright. Let's see, you're quick. You're honest. You're varied. You're chill. You're normal. Yo! You're pink.
Huh. Hey there. It's nice to meet you, bestie. I'm Cookie. I'm an outgoing I can't.
You wanna do me a favor? I'll put on some clothes. Breach. Damn it. What do you mean? I think it's perfect on you. Fine, whatever. Here, you can have this letter T. Sick. You have no pants on.
Yum.
Who's pondering? That's Jay.
Huh. Let's play Zoom quiz together. Here's your first zoomed-in item. What do you think it is?
I don't know. Yuri.
The answer is Yuri. Next, your second zoomed-in item. What do you think it is?
Paper talisman.
The answer is Paper Talisman.
Oh.
And finally, the last zoomed-in item. What do you think it is?
I'm cooked.
The
I
correct answer
misclicked.
is horror novel.
I misclicked. I didn't even get to read them.
Hey, you can't win 'em all.
Thanks for the box of tissues. Cookie seems to be watching Simmy closely.
Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Cookie.
Nice to meet you, Cookie. I'm Simmy.
That's variety show on a starter.
Shit, it sounds exactly like him. What? Does it?
Thailand. Right. Me.
Bavagraph.
Hi, Sel.
CD comment ram.
April.
Go talk to
For
your wife.
continued peace on Sakura.
Oh. Damn. Damn. What are they talking about? They're talking about things that are completely unexpected. Yeah, okay. Oh wait, I was just in here alone? Ghosty, that's sad. Oh wait, Brick. Get to know each other.
We haven't met yet, have we? My name is Brick.
Hey, Brick. I'm Ghosty.
So first, split up channel with Check Sambo. Barn Flam. Ship Cap.
Who else do you not know? You don't know Kiona. Go say hi to Kiona.
We haven't met yet, have we? My name is Brick.
Nice to meet you, Brick. I'm Kiona Mew.
How about trading a plan?
Brick's talking about streaming.
Grappling snap.
I like how Brick's a brick. Yeah, thanks. I worked hard on that.
We haven't met yet, have we? My name is Brick.
Nice to meet you, Brick. I'm Simmy.
Yeah, maybe they were talking about how Brick just never
He trackled
streams.
the channel ribbon. Yeah,
Brick wants to hear Simmy's take on streaming.
he trackled the channel ribbon.
Poor
Yeah.
Cookie.
Nothing
Somebody
more
needs to pay
to.
attention. So Laredin seems to be watching Ghosty. Oh.
Samsung. Going to fall.
Nice to see you. I thought I'd share this with you.
Edamame!
Oh, that's too kind. I couldn't possibly accept it,
Please, I insist.
but it looks so valuable. I just can't.
Please, it's nothing. I have too many.
I appreciate the thought, and that's plenty for me.
Nonsense. Yes, sir.
Baby hologram.
Okay.
A real.
Yeah, grab and snap elbow.
Look at they're all walking the town.
Baby hologram. A real.
I think Cookie's part of that conversation. I'm not sure though.
Go on the map.
Yeah, rabbit snap.
Wait, you don't know Brick yet.
Oh.
Good to know each other.
Blue.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice. I'm.
So first,
He's saying that he thinks the two of them will get along well because they're about the
Farmland.
same age. Didn't we make Brick 150?
Crunchy.
Didn't we make Brick 150? How is 150 close to 19? Hello?
Me. Rabbit Rackle.
Ship cap. Never. Hey.
Oh my god. I can't with this. So me and Sully are talking. These three are still talking. Rico's alone. Someone's in the. Who's in here? Jamie. There's new stuff.
Welcome.
Oh yeah, I forgot that we bought Seesaw.
Thank you very much.
Oh wait, it's gonna make me look at the books.
Welcome. Please come again.
Bit. They're discussing how to get Bestie's attention. Oh, my fault, my fault. What are you guys talking about? They're discussing a dream Celadon had about the future. Okay. I'm typing. Jesse's at home. Kiona's at home. Oh, alright. Who else? Cookie needs to meet everyone.
Yeah, grab and snap elbow.
I'm gonna go talk to Jesse.
Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Cookie. Nice to meet you, Cookie. I'm Jesse. So, you leave.
About the potty pillow. What did it say? I accidentally hit A.
I had a fun time with Jesse. And, if I'm being honest, it's all thanks to you, bestie.
You're welcome.
Kitty kept rolling. Lymphanora 2.
IRL me should talk to Kiona. Get to know her.
My name is Rika. So, yeah.
Nice to meet you, Rika. I'm 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷.
Melvin Dingle Ringle. Little crew on a thing, fam. Yaw. That's some bagel Frenchie.
You liven this place up, you know.
Mhm.
How about trading a plan? Sure, living breath stimuletto.
Alright. Now mostly everyone's talking. Are you guys still talking about that? Sharing stories about past relationships.
Welcome.
Brick would live in the brick set.
Thank you very much.
Simi would live. I don't know. Maybe in the log cabin? I'll buy this.
Thank you very. Please come again.
Oh wait, my fault. Forgot that I have to go talk to him. Hello.
Let's try bowling together.
Oh? Oh. Damn it.
Hey!
Celery, where are you stuck in place?
You can stop anytime now.
Why am I being
My thoughts
choked?
drifted to Rika, and I got so nervous I froze up.
Alright, why are you fingering Cell? It's not like that, don't worry. Okay, I need cookie. What the fuck are you guys doing? In the gayest way possible, what are you doing? Go talk to Cell.
Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Cookie.
Yeah. I'm 𝚃𝚷𝙷𝙃𝙲𝙷. Yeah, rabbit snap elbow. Yes, throwing.
Me.
Oh?
Babagra.
Why are me and Brick having a date?
So, I've kind of got a knack for these things. Your favorite
I
color
have a
is
booster seat.
emerald green. Did I get it?
Well, that's the only color I don't like.
Is it? I should have known. Do you like me? Yes or no? Answer quick.
Oh, maybe. You're okay.
I did
Canon.
specify yes or no. Speaking of culinary creations, mixing a yuri with some clam chowder is a taste sensation, right?
You really think so? I nearly choked on a yuri when I was a kid. Haven't been able to stomach it since.
Oh, so glad I brought it up.
What?
𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷, 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷,
𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙲𝙷. Sandstorm.
Oh,
Rollins. Conti on
goodness
Burger.
gracious. They're trading
Well,
their
anyway,
favorite recipes
here's
for some
Raven, calling to
lasagna.
me. The 𝚃𝚆𝙸𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙲𝙷, 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙲.
Taking photo.
𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷. Celeradin, good evening. Babo, Celeradin.
Just he's giving advice on how to deal with dreams where Freddy Fazbear's chasing you.
𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷 the Stackman tomorrow. Cito. Thanks for helping me and Celeradin get closer. 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷, 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷. But then again, 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷. And that's a twindoodle at 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷.
Okay. Oh, did I leave Brick? I did. Sue me. Let me go sit with Brick.
Good evening, Simi.
Good evening, Brick.
Oh yeah. And Sue gets a booster seat too.
Teehee. How goes? I was worried 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝚃𝙷 might not find it interesting. But 𝚃𝚃𝙸𝙃𝙷 likes streaming a whole bunch.
Hello, Kyo.
I think I'm on cloud 9 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Whoa. That's my darling wife.
Oh my.
I just can't watch anymore.
Ah, wife. Looking lovely as ever.
Kinda. Oh my god, hold on.
Lupo.
She's pushing out that screen.
I got you.
Or bug.
You
Sorry.
okay?
I don't need him to push out the screen and fall out the window. Kyona's head over heels. Can I just get you to keep interacting? Oh! Oh my god, she's shy. Don't worry, we'll get you to Kyo.
Kyo, good evening.
Hi, wife.
Tip-tap, Baba, Kitty-cat Rollin, Champwoody, Doritable, CD Tomogram, April, Champwoody, Quatsawadi, Will.
What is Cookie pondering?
Ha. Goody. Got a sec. I wanna chat. Bestie, what is something that you treasured when you were younger?
Huh. A shroom. I don't know. Right? What did I treasure when I was younger? Stuffed animals, I guess?
Stuffed animal. Even now, I still treasure my stuffed animal.
Wooden boards. Okay. Oh shit.
I am exhausted.
Talking
Wish
about
I knew
is
why.
𝚃𝚃𝙷𝚃𝙲𝙷. Fair enough. What are we talking about? They're talking about what it would be like to consume a Yuri daily for a year. Oh, they both crush on me. Wait, I forgot they both like me. I'm teaching them about Yuri. Hello? Cookie's sleeping. What's his dreams?
Good evening. Bonsoir.
Buenas noches.
Buonasera.
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend.
Konbanwa.
This is Sakura, right? Ah. Maybe I'm worn out.
You got a dream manifested treasure. You got a globe.
Oh.
What's up? Oh?
So blue. Ah. The sea. Hey. Hey. The sea. How is it so vast?
Fair enough. Trying to use slang that they don't fully understand. They're venting about their biggest pet peeves in 2026 so far.
I love the sea.
Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it there. I have a bunch to do, honestly. But I'm excited with where it's going. But I think I'm gonna leave it there. We will add Everest. Probably again. And then probably some other people, just to make it exciting. Thank you for stream, Ghost. Yeah, thanks for joining me, you guys. I had a lot of fun. This is a really fun game, actually. I didn't realize how fun it would be. Oh my goodness. Much love and good night. Good night, you guys. Thank you for joining. Hold on, my VTuber. Where the fuck? Hello? My VTuber? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed Tomodachi Live. I had fun. I hope you did too. But I think I'm gonna leave that there. Thank you guys. I had so much fun. I'm very tired. But I don't know when I'm streaming next, but keep an eye out. I might announce it in the Discord. Yeah. Bye guys. Thank you. Bye. Bye bye.